This video is about to get crazy surgical, okay? Because we're about to enter a time where your critical thinking has to be at an all-time high. You have to be able to come to your own conclusions by looking at the context of everything that's being presented to you, being able to point out the holes in everything that's being presented to you. Because if you don't, media is going to force you to turn on not only the people you love in art, but maybe even the people in your communities. Okay? I'm going to use this Baka Not Nice situation as an example. Baka Not Nice basically said Kendrick Lamar lied about the line and Not Like Us when he says Baka got a weird case. Why is he around? Okay? That's not the issue. Baka Not Nice, whether we know he committed it, but Baka Not Nice is his own human being who has his own free will. It is in his best interest to defend himself, even as guilty. The issue is the media outlets who are helping push the narrative. You see what I'm saying? I even seen an article say, wait, Baka Not Nice doesn't have a weird case as the headline. That's extremely dangerous. But these are tactics that we are very used to from our general media. We just left the age of the news on TV and all that, and media is now coming from social media. So what I'm going to show y'all, and it's only going to take 4 minutes. I need y'all to watch this video with me, okay? Some of y'all know about this, some of y'all don't. I'm going to introduce y'all to a concept called manufacturing consent, okay? Introduced by Noam Chomsky, all right? Noam Chomsky has always been critical of the American media and the way that they manipulate the public. And what people don't understand is these concepts are now being used by labels, by artists, etc. So we're going to watch a 4-minute video about manufacturing consent, and I'm aware it's going to get copyrighted, but it's whatever because this is important, okay? Let's take a look.
Propaganda. Many use the word when talking about countries like North Korea, Kazakhstan, Iran. Countries viewed as authoritarian through the lens of the Western media. Press freedom, freedom of thought. People use those terms when talking about countries like the United States, France, Australia, democracies. In 1988, Noam Chomsky co-authored a book with Edward Herman called Manufacturing Consent. It blasted apart the notion that media acts as a check on political power, that media inform the public, serve the public, so that we can better engage in the political process. In fact, media manufacture our consent. They tell us what those in power need them to tell us so we can fall in line. Democracy is staged with the help of media that work as propaganda machines.
Now, this is something that would take place during the time where the public didn't really have much say in the propaganda. Okay? What has happened is recently there's been a shift where social media is starting to control more of the propaganda. So instead of these guys going to Fox News, CNN, and stuff like that, they're now going to Twitter pages, streamers, etc. You see what I'm saying? I can firmly tell y'all right now, there is no outlet telling me to say what I say whatsoever, right? There is no media outlet telling me to say what I say. I'm saying what I have to say from the independence of my own mind, okay? And I just needed to state that through this video.
Media operate through 5 filters. The first has to do with ownership. Mass media firms are big corporations. Often they're part of even bigger conglomerates. Their end game, profit. And so it's in their interests to push for whatever guarantees that profit. Critical journalism takes second place to the needs and interests of the corporation. The second filter exposes the real role of advertising. Media costs a lot more than consumers will ever pay. So who fills the gap? Advertisers.
Right.
And what are the advertisers paying for? Audiences.
Exactly. So this is essentially what you see when you watch my videos. It pauses, and then all of a sudden you have some commercial telling you what you need to buy, what you need to go do. Okay? That's not the problem. That's not the issue. That's just the way things work. People are trying to make money and make profit. The problem is when these things are used to amplify lies and amplify falsehood. Okay?
And so it isn't so much that the media are selling you a product, their output. They're also selling advertisers a product, you.
Exactly.
How does the establishment manage the media?
This is the part, from this point on, this is the part we really got to pay attention to, because this is what you're seeing with Drake. This is what Drake is attempting to do. And we'll do a more in-depth video on this later, but this is what Drake is trying to do with Baka Not Nice, okay?
It's the third filter. Journalism cannot be a check on power because the very system encourages complicity. Governments, corporations, big institutions know how to play the media game. They know how to influence the news narrative. They feed media scoops, official accounts, interviews with the experts. They make themselves crucial to the process of journalism. So those in power and those who report on them are in bed with each other.
And you can see this, for example, when you look at a dude like DJ Academics, right? Where you see at one point in time, when he was back on Complex or whatever, he's been stated multiple times that Drake is afraid of Kendrick Lamar, that Kendrick Lamar has multiple classics and Drake doesn't, all types of stuff, right? But now he has a whole different tone. And people think that type of stuff comes out of nowhere. No, what happens is guys like DJ Academics build a platform, okay? They go from wearing this hat, the metaphorical check system, which is this baton here, looks at him and says, if you want to be in, if you want to receive the benefits, you have to be one of us.
Cannot be a check on
He then walks in and his hat changes. So now he's saying the things in favor of the people who are paying him or the people who are whatever they might be going on. They might be giving people a pardon. It's a lot of different things going on. But this is what happens. All right? Now let's continue.
each other. If you want to challenge power, you'll be pushed to the margins. Your name won't be down. You won't be getting in. You've lost your access. You've lost the story. When the media, journalists, whistleblowers, sources, stray away from the consensus, they get flat. That's the fourth filter. When the story is inconvenient for the powers that be, you'll see the flat machine in action, discrediting sources, trashing stories.
Now, this is what happens when, I believe personally, from what I'm watching, Drake over time is controlling more and more and more of the media. I don't know if it's because he's paying. I don't know if it's because whatever. But Drake's goal right now is to control as much of the media as possible to prepare for a resurgence of him and a decimation of Kendrick Lamar. Okay? He's already begun it by making you all think, not you literally, but making, because y'all know, but he's already done a decent job by making people believe that this industry and this system has been set up against him in order to push Kendrick Lamar. When in reality, Kendrick Lamar was the underdog in that battle and was not supposed to win that battle. Because Drake was using this exactly what we're talking about here to corner Kendrick Lamar, right? Before Euphoria dropped and Push Ups had dropped, all of the media everywhere was downing Kendrick Lamar, rushing Kendrick Lamar, everything so to say. Even when Euphoria came out, people try to make the case that Euphoria was equal to Push Ups. The problem is when somebody has enough influence, it doesn't work. We haven't seen that many times. Kendrick Lamar did something that is very rare. You see what I'm saying? So what you're about to see within the next few months coming up is an attempt to, before Drake gets in the trouble that he's about to get to rebrand his career and to decimate Kendrick Lamar in the process. Okay, so you got to be able to pay attention.
And diverting the conversation.
And the people who cover this stuff and listen, I'm not the dude that's going to sit here and say, oh, I'm a completely biased person. I'm not this media outlet who is here to give you, to say, oh, well, Drake had a point. No. I stand with Kendrick Lamar. I stand against the things that perpetrate these things that destroy our culture. So if you're expecting me to be oh, well, Drake had a point, that's not what I'm here to do. What we're talking about is the people who propose themselves as neutral. Those are the most dangerous platforms. Because people look at them and say, well, they're not leaning either way, so this got to be true. No. That's the idea, okay? For people like me or people who have built their platforms recently, they've already started it. I remember when Curtis King did the collective, right? And the Drake side of the fan base made this whole collage of like, oh, they were taking clips from it and discrediting the collective. That is what this game plan is right here. It's called FLAC, where you look at the platforms who go against what you want to be said and you discredit them however you do, right? And what you're supposed to do, right, if you're in integrity, is be honest about that. These platforms are not being honest about that, okay?
To manufacture consent, you need an enemy, a target.
Exactly.
That common enemy is the
Fifth filter.
communism, terrorists, immigrants. A common enemy, a boogeyman to fear, helps corral public opinion. 5 filters, one big meaning.
So, what many people, including me, have believed for a while is that Drake fans are aware of the malarkey, but they just love Drake so much that they're siding with him. No, that's not what's happening. A lot of these Drake fans genuinely believe that there was a conspiracy to take down Drake with UMG. A lot of these Drake fans genuinely believe that, but it's because of the manufacturing consent. Drake and his team, and you know the connection Drake's has, so he's very well versed in this. Y'all know the connections I'm talking about. Free Palestine. What they do is use these 5 filters in order to create the narratives. A lot of these platforms on the other side are being paid by OVO, are being instructed by OVO. I am not being instructed by TDE or Kendrick Lamar. I don't talk to them. This is genuine. This is from my opinion, okay? And what they're going to do is continue to turn up the heat. The further Kendrick Lamar goes in his process, the more they're going to turn up the heat, okay? I expect a hit piece on Kendrick Lamar to come out soon. Now, the reason why I broke all this down is because a podcast like NFR Podcast, okay? And I don't know these guys from a can of paint. I don't know them as individuals. All I know is what I've seen. What I've seen is these guys love Kendrick Lamar's music. And at one point, they were covering things in an unbiased standard, right? Kendrick Lamar has been breaking records. Kendrick Lamar has been doing a lot of insane things that all of a sudden certain media outlets are no longer talking about. Okay? But that's not the thing that made me raise an eyebrow. What made me raise an eyebrow was the fact that they have been ignoring Kendrick Lamar's accomplishments recently, but they've been posting Drake's accomplishments recently. And I thought that was interesting. I'm like, okay, maybe they just showing like whatever, right? But when you start promoting this shit, I have a problem. Okay? NFR Podcast is one of the main outlets who reported on the fact that what Baka Not Nice did this interview talking about Kendrick Lamar is lying and Kendrick Lamar needs to have paperwork to say that he has a weird case. Now, if this were true, I mean, what can you really say? The problem is the paperwork is on the internet. It's on the internet. And the problem is what these guys like to do, because they're connected, they are able to hide information, get in videos and all types of stuff wiped off the internet. You see what I'm saying? Get people who were reporting on them initially either on NDAs or get them off the internet. And I'll make a separate video on that at some point when all this stuff starts to come out, okay? But they're playing very dirty and then turn around and tell you, well, prove it. When Drake was telling Kendrick Lamar, you better have some paperwork or that's your fake. How are we supposed to have how is paperwork supposed to come out on somebody that's paying Listen. We'll get to that later. But the paperwork is already out here. This is an article from 2015. What you got to do is you can't read the articles on these situations that come out today. You got to go back to when these things really happened. Because 9 times out of 10, they weren't able to cover it up the way they can cover it up now. All right? So here, Travis Savory, a.k.a. Baka, is a member of Drake's entourage. The 37-year-old Toronto man has worked security for Drizzy, contributed backup vocals to the album Nothing Was the Same, and even got a shout on the track Know Yourself. Okay? He was involved in some nastiness last year, getting himself arrested on charges of forcing a 22-year-old woman into prostitution and taking her money. Baka has had his day in court this week and pled guilty to assaulting the woman and unrelated weapons charge. He was sentenced to 6 months in jail but remained free because he already spent 10 months in custody following his June 2014 arrest. Okay? He was arrested and put down for the accusations of forcing a woman into prostitution. He was arrested on these charges. Okay? Because the woman, let's keep reading. Baka was fortunate that the woman in question who worked as an escort, okay? Now I want you to remember, they're now trying to paint that idea that this is his girlfriend. That's what they do. We just watched the video. Baka was fortunate the woman in question who worked as an escort refused to testify against him. I wonder why. Without her cooperation, the prosecution had to drop the charges of procuring prostitution and human trafficking that Baka was initially hit with. The interesting part about this woman is she left where she initially lived, changed her address so that she couldn't be subpoenaed into court, which is interesting. Okay? Now, the part people aren't talking about is the fact that he pled guilty to assaulting the woman in an unrelated weapons charge. Okay? This is why he was able to get away with it, and also because of the fact that she didn't cooperate. Now, how many women in domestic violence situations are getting beat up every single day and do not cooperate because they fear for their life? Isn't that what somebody who is way stronger than you, way more powerful than you, and has connections like Drake, wouldn't that instill fear into you? Okay? This is where you have to use context clues and critical thinking. What they'll try to get you to do, where's your source? If the sources are controlled, where are you supposed to get this from? Trust your critical thinking. You have to do this for the future, for music, politics. It's about to get crazy out here. Okay? It's not just about hip hop. It's not just about Drake and Kendrick. This is going to get serious. Okay? And you got to be able to pay attention. Podcasts like this who are going around and promoting this narrative and not adding in the fact that this stuff is on the internet you need to be weary of them. And the reason why you need to be weary of them is because if they can be silenced, they can be used as a weapon as well. Okay? I imagine a world in a near future where Drake has enough of the media on his side, right? The academics of the world, the Kanye West of the world, the Andrew Tates of the world, etc. Hypothetically, of course, to where if a story comes out about Kendrick Lamar and they all report on it, they can sway public opinion. And the perfect time to do that would be while he's basking in all these accomplishments. You see what I'm saying? And that's why it's important to pay attention. Now look at this article, right, from 2015, and look at this article. Okay, I think this is the article that I meant to. Is this the article I meant to pull up? Right here. Baka doesn't have a weird case. April 8, 2025. Okay. The song should the entire blah blah blah. Where's the They then talk about how Baka's talking about he wanted to respond to Kendrick, but Drake told him not to. Okay. And the problem isn't them reporting here, because what they want you to do, they want to keep the credibility. So what they'll say is, well, that was just the headline. 90% of people aren't going to read this article. That's where they've been able to understand how to control the narrative. What they'll do is read the headline and go about their day. So now, 90% of people who have seen this see, wait, Baka might not have a weird case. And then you go down and look at this, and it says, Drake's homie Baka made it clear. Once people start doing their research and realize Kendrick just made up a whole story, why are they so confident? Because they're gearing up. They should be looking at Kendrick funny, not him or Drake. It's a reminder that hip-hop narratives are powerful, but they're also easily twisted. Facts always come out, and when they do, the truth will speak louder than the lies. So the issue is, they say things like Drake's homie Baka made it clear, and then they don't give the counterpoint of what is actually out there. You see what I'm saying? And that's how they manufacture consent without losing credibility. Okay? I just needed to make this clear because it's very obvious to me what is to come. And if you don't see it, it's going to blindside you, and you might get influenced to think things that you shouldn't be thinking. Do your own research, even when it comes to listening to me. I'm just another person just like you. It's just I built a platform, okay? What we need to do is do our own critical thinking, do our own research, and look into things. Because NFR podcast and all these guys should not be reporting on this in the way they're reporting on it, knowing that this stuff is out there, knowing that he's convicted for assaulting a woman, the same thing that Drake accused of Kendrick Lamar of doing. You see what I'm saying? That's all, okay? Also, if you like storytelling, like Kendrick Lamar's Sing About Me or Tupac's Brenda's Got a Baby, I think you'll love the vocal cords of a broken woman. Also, the It's About to Get Surgical shirts are out now if you want to go get some shirts, okay? Here's my advertising. You see what I'm saying? And I think you guys will love the vocal cords of a broken woman because it's deep, it's powerful. A lot of people agree, and it's only 30 minutes of your time. So if you want to go check that out, I appreciate y'all. Pay attention. Not just in hip-hop, but everything that's about to come out, okay? Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Take care.